podcast. Thanks for joining me today. With me today is Dan.
Hey, everybody.
And Ford.
Hey, how's it going?
And we are talking about Father's Day. Father's Day is fun because it happens, I think like right as summer's truly beginning. I know it's not officially summer
This year
yet.
it actually is.
Oh, is it?
It is, yes. The 21st, summer solstice.
Summer solstice, Father's Day. Ooh.
It's the perfect alignment for me, so naturally I will not be where I want to be.
Of course.
It's the first time it's ever going to work
You'll
out
be
for
doing
me.
some of the S's, but not the, not the S you wanted to be doing.
I'll be near all of them, but not where I want to be. Not in the location I want to be.
Okay.
But doing things I want to do. So.
That's fair enough. Father's Day opposed to like Mother's Day. I feel like Mother's Day that gets caught in kind of like a weird spot because like kids are still in school. You can't really like plan a lot of stuff depending on where you're at or what's going on. But
I feel like Brian's trying to earn brownie points here.
Yeah,
I feel like Mother's Day gets a lot more, a lot heavier treatment than
it gets a lot more attention. That's for sure. But
it must be addressed.
I feel like Father's Day can like slide naturally into maybe like a pre-planned family vacation or they're like, oh, we're going to be at the beach for Father's Day.
Yeah.
But it was beach week.
Hope you enjoy it.
Yeah. Have a great time. Father's Day is coming up. Special time. You guys have any Father's Day traditions for you and the girls? Your kids are still young enough that maybe you've got some stuff.
Yeah, for Father's Day for me, it's still going up the chain, not down the chain, right? It's still, most people listen to this know my father and seen him around and things of that nature. And I was just thinking about it earlier, like how many things you don't think about. Like when you grow up, either like you're like, oh, I really want to be like that person, or you want to do opposite of that person, depending on what characteristics you want. But then the thing I do see in my kid is that like there's things that like what's the thing about the more things are caught than taught, but like mannerisms or certain things that happened and all that kind of stuff. And you're like, wow, okay, you just like amazing how much that's ingrained into you from your parents. And then some of them, of course, get attributed to your father, depending if that's a positive or a negative and who's attributing to those to you. That's your child type of scenario. But no, I think, ours are young enough at this point. There's still no real setup. And it's amazing when we were talking about Mother's Day. Like, I think it's just because by and large, men might not be as good at planners. And so Mother's Day, they tell us about it far in advance, but the other way around, it's not quite the same.
That's right.
Maybe the ladies don't need as much warning and tell them to go buy cards and chocolates and stuff like that because they already have a plan put in place.
Yeah, and Ford and I actually Ford and I got together yesterday outside of work. And I don't know if Tamara said anything about it to Ford, but Erin said to me, this is exactly what I'd expect from a Dan and Ford planned event. Because we were like trying to figure out what we were going to eat about an hour before we were eating it. And, we'll meet at my house, right? Like and I was fine. Like I was fine with this plan, but it goes to Ford's point about making plans that it all works out. You know what I mean? Like Father's Day can be great and you really didn't have a plan, but I didn't need a plan.
Yeah.
But the reverse isn't, at least in my family, the reverse is not true. A plan is needed. So for me, I do have, every Father's Day, I have been in Ocean City on the beach all day, and I like to eat at least 2 meals on the beach that day. And this year, I'm very fortunate. The girls, play a lot of soccer, so we've covered 2 of the S's. Tomorrow, it's not winter, so I can't get to skiing. But I'm very fortunate that the girls have been real successful. And Nora's going to play Super Copa, which is a really big tournament, one of the biggest in the U.S. in Florida. So I'm going down there. So it'll just be Nora and I for Father's Day down there. The girls will be on the beach. They'll eat their 2 meals they won't. Actually, Mara's got soccer.
Yeah.
So Mara has a game on Sunday as well. So it's a different tradition for us this year, but we'll get together another day and spend it on the beach.
I think this is the first summer in probably, 10 or 15 years that I'm not coaching summer lacrosse.
Okay. So
that's been different too. Sometimes I'm coaching my kids, sometimes I'm not. Last year, Aiden and I were coaching together on Father's Day. So it's always on. And like, depending on the schedule, we're always trying to figure out like, okay, do we have to like, will we be done in time to go have dinner with my dad, my parents? Or do we need to try and do something on Saturday to make sure we get to see them, celebrate my dad, et cetera? So yeah, this will be the first time in a while. It's still low key. I think we're gonna do a little golf zone. I think a little golf zone and grab some lunch or something like that. So
I will say this, as my dad passed away 6 years ago now.
Yeah.
Appreciate it while they're there, because you both have dads who are great, but whether it was super positive or whether it was a struggle at times for you as a kid growing up. One thing I know is, as I became a father and had to raise the girls, that it's not as easy as it looks as a kid. Like as a kid, you can easily pick out what you don't like about how people act or behave or raise you, but it's not easy. There's no handbook. We don't know. Nobody knows what they're doing in this. We're just trying to figure it out and do the best we can with the hand we were dealt. So appreciate that and thank your dads, thank your parents, and
Yeah, it is. I have, in part because of some of the things you and I talked about, like, some of the stories and stuff like that, I tried to be more intentional about that time that, who knows how much of it's left. You don't want to be, I'm not trying to be morbid.
Yeah, not trying to be morbid, but just
there is, we're all dying. I mean, like from the day we were born, we're on the path to death. Unfortunately, we just don't know the timeline usually. Definitely been more purposeful about that. Did we talk about this? My dad and I have a trip planned. I think we talked about it.
I think we talked about it.
Yeah, so I'm really looking forward to that with my brother, my younger brother. Yeah. Coming up this late summer, end of summer. So that'll be cool, because we've never really done anything like it. So.
Yeah, and it's sort of like a symmetry with what you did with the boys. Yep. To me, when you talked about it, it's not the same, but
but similar.
But a similar thing. And so I ran into somebody yesterday morning down the shore, and somebody Ford knows. So Charlie. There's a man named Charlie down the shore, and he lives just about right off the beach, and he has this little tiny place, Charlie, and he's the most positive, nicest guy. Pretty conservative, religious, and never has a bad word to say about anybody. Always says hello. He'll sit on his porch and just say hi to every person that walks onto 15th Street, and that's a lot of people. And he always talks to the girls. And he had to give you a picture of Charlie. Charlie's granddaughter played at South Carolina soccer, and then was drafted in the first round of the NWSL draft. And I had no idea she played soccer the whole time that I knew him when I was growing up. And at one point when he knew the girls were playing and I was talking about it, he said, my granddaughter plays soccer. And I was like, oh, where she's played? I don't know the age of her. I'm thinking maybe she's, could be one of the local teams, like kid, teams. And he said, she plays for Seattle. And I was like, what? And he was like, yeah, she went to South Carolina on a full scholarship. But this man never once, and he knew the girls played soccer, but didn't bring it up. And he stopped, we were walking by and we saw Charlie, and I said hello, and he said a few things. And he said something to the girls, and he is, the reason I think of this probably is because he's like one of those guys that not your dad, but is like a father figure. He always does the right thing. He always says the right thing. And he was saying to the girls, he said, what you got to do, he says, when you're in a game and it's tough, we're in life and you're at work. And he said, people come into my shop. He's a cobbler. He makes shoes. Okay. Right. And he said, people come into my shop and they may have had the worst day of their life, and they come in and they're mad. And all I can do is do my job, but they might not be happy, and it has nothing to do with me. So I just always try and make them feel better. And no matter what somebody gives me, I am always positive back to them. I always say, and he said, and you got to apply that to sports. He said, because if you can do that, it'll help you. It'll mess with other people. He said, a person just completely fouls you and rocks you and knocks you down. He said, you just get up and give them a hand and say, hey, I'm sorry you're having such a rough day. And my girl, Ford, my girls, they looked at Charlotte, said, yeah, I don't think I can do that. And Charlie said, well, treat them like your sister. And I said, whoa, Charlie, now you made it worse. That's worse, what she's going to do now. But he's one of those guys. And I have some other people in my life still, now that my dad's gone, that are like that I just look at them for different things of how they are as a role model in terms of their positivity or their impact on their surrounding community, right? Not on society, because that's too big, but on the people around them, and I think that's something that I really take when I think of Father's Day. I think of that as the people I know, the men I know who act in a fatherly way when they're not even the father. They're just trying to be the right person all the time for everybody.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. Ford, I know you guys a lot of times do the same or similar things to celebrate Father's Day, right? I mean, you guys kind of always do happen to plan like a family trip or a long weekend or getaway right around this time. And I think it coincides. I think it's supposed to coincide with Father's Day. It's not by happenstance, or am I fishing?
I would say, kind of like you said earlier, it's hey, it ties in here. Let's throw it into the soup. I don't know that it's I'm knowing my father for 44 some years. I don't think that this would be his particular choice of venues for the family get together, but that's why when you guys were joking earlier about like it's kind of thrown in. It feels a little bit that way, but it is nice to get it, because it is amazing how busy with minutia we get. Not even it's important to every one of us, but it's not actually important if you look at it and how busy we all get to just running and gunning and FaceTime. It's a cool feature that everybody uses, but it's not the same thing. It's just sitting in a room and but even when we're together, it's like, oh well, they're running here, they're going there, and it's like, my goodness, like we need to go like to the Adirondacks or somewhere where there's like a cabin, nothing else, if you really want to have that time, because once you're in a place that there is activities and things to do and lots of grandchildren around, everybody wants to sprint off to play mini golf or do whatever their scenario is. You're like, it'd be funny to have to lock us all in a space for a certain amount of time and see how long until someone starts breaking the emergency glass to jump out the side window.
Trying to get internet connection or something, yeah.
Well, Ford, what's funny? And I think Ford probably, of all the people who sort of interact with me in more than one of the worlds that I live in, Ford probably knows it better than anybody, that is not the shore for us. Like, I will go to the boardwalk or the rides if you want to, because you're there for a day. But when I've been fortunate enough to have Ford down and Ford, stay with us, he sees like we do nothing. Like in other words, in our perfect world, I mean, like the girls work out now and stuff because of soccer, but we're gonna wake up and we're gonna be together in a very small, It struck me when Ford said that about the cabin, because in other words, we call it Little House, our shore house, and it's as big as my living room at home. You know what I mean? Like it is small.
Yeah, sure.
And we'll put all the people in there, and then be surrounded by 5 other houses of people who are doing the same thing, that have done it for generations, and we're in this fishbowl, but in our own world where I'm not going to the rides, I'm not going to mini golf, I'm not, you know what I mean? I'll buy ice cream. I'm not going to go to the boardwalk and get ice cream. Like if people are there, I'll do it, Sure. And so that's part of, and I think Ford, when he says the cabin, it's because, Ford and out here, that's a thing. Everybody has like their cabin with their people that they grew up with, and it replicates that same thing that I have there. And I think that is important, because it's one of the biggest. FaceTime has been an amazing development, because it allows fathers, mothers, grandmothers, grandfathers, aunts, uncles, that you can physically see the person and talk. And so there's like a visceral, emotional attachment to it. But FaceTime is not the same as FaceTime. You know what I mean? FaceTime does not replicate actually physically interacting with people. And I think that's as I get older, that's a struggle for me. Like I don't really want to I will do it. But in other words, I would rather have a conversation in person than I would have a conversation, even though we still see each other.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. And I think a lot of ways what you're kind of describing is like the difference between being on a family trip versus being on vacation, right? Yeah. Like, you're not like vacation gone all summer, but like when you leave, it's like, it's like routine enough that you can escape and disconnect, but not so you're not trying to like cram everything into a finite period of time, and we got to go get ice cream from our favorite place, and we got to go visit the boardwalk or whatever the things are, which is neat. Yeah, it's fun for sure.
For me, Ford, I honestly feel more rushed when I go to Maine. Like then I'm in the middle of the wilderness, and somehow I'm on this ridiculous schedule where I have to hit like 4 waterfalls, this slide, this pool, this swimming hole. You know what I mean? We got to do all, and like I'm on a schedule that I have to get these things done, because I only have
X amount of
5 days, 6 days to do them. So you put me in the wilderness, and I'm less. Yeah, I'm more structured and more required to do things than I am when you put me in the middle of like the busiest place in the U.S.
I look back at the little road trip the boys and I did, and it felt that way. I mean, it was fun, and it's something that I'll remember forever. And I think they would say the same thing. But we were trying to cram so much stuff in that period of time that, it felt like, all right, we got to get to the next thing. We got to get to the next thing. Right. Yeah. And this thing I've got coming up with my dad and my brother feels very different because there will not be a lot. There won't be a next thing. It's like we're doing this thing for 7 days, and it'll be cool. I'm really looking forward to it. It'll be different for sure.
It'll be interesting to see when you come back, just your perspective. Like, I mean, you jump back into real life, so it's not like, but it's just that fact that, like, okay, we're gonna do what we're gonna do. At the end of the night, we're gonna make a fire pit or whatever we're gonna do, and sit there and maybe not say anything and just stare at the fire for a couple hours. But like,
look at the
that is literally the end of your day. Yeah. And I think that what Dan was saying earlier, and I think the one good part is, we've done the same thing as a family for Father's Day for many years. So it's kind of like him going to the beach he's there enough that he doesn't have to try and fit everything in. And we've been to the same town, so we can try and figure out the places we like, but not have to try 42 new ones. As he said about Maine, like you got a short window and you're just trying to, I don't know when that all magically happened that, there can't be downtime. It's literally like, okay, for the next place. And then we have 2.4 hours and then we need to be to the next thing and the next thing. And all of a sudden, like, the joke sometimes people talk about, they need a vacation from their vacation because their vacations are so hectic that, a little peace and quiet. And I just wonder about that in general, as far as like, when we're talking to our dads, the generation change and the way things are. And, nothing's going back there. We're not going to be like magically turn the clock back, but you just wonder if, tides change and things go like, they say the new generation does certain things differently or whatever the scenario is. And you're just kind of curious if like some of these things, they'll be overdone with all of the stuff. And if there'll be a movement for some kind of a different speed of things because of the fact that, they grew up in their parent, our kids growing up with their parents are constantly moving. And it's like, are they going to try and start like maybe have a little bit more of a slow slowdown? So I don't know how you do that with all the technology, but maybe AI will magically fix it for everybody.
Do you think, how dependent do you think that is on how we, like, as fathers, handle that in the next 20 years? As generationally, Dan, your father's already passed, so you are handling what your kids see, and as far as that goes now. And I hope my dad lives forever, but that's not reality. At some point, like, I'll be that guy who has to make sure that we always rent the beach house, or we always do something so that the kids and the grandkids see how important that is. Like, does that sound weird? Do you think that's part of it, or do you think that it is, they're going to sort of adopt and adapt their own version of whatever they feel like it's supposed to look like anyways, regardless of how we show it to them? Yeah,
I mean, for me, I think I think it's a little bit of both, but I was having a conversation with Tori the other day, right? And Tori's gonna have twins any day. Yeah. And I was saying, like, take your time, like, enjoy it. Like, it's gonna go by so fast. And I was talking to her about it, and we were just going over some things of, like, things that I, what I experienced, and making sure that you take time. Like, and that doesn't mean, I'm not saying like, hey, take off 6 months. I'm saying make time to make it important in the focus and focus on that thing. And in that same window that I was talking to her, a couple things were going on. My mom said something, and she was like, well, it's your responsibility now. Like, you're the one that has to make sure everybody gets together, like me. And my sister was like, do you think he needs like more pressure on him about stuff? But like, it's the reality. Like, my dad has passed away, and I'm the oldest, so it like became my responsibility to put value on it. And that's really hard. The reason I say that is it's really hard because just because I value it, and in my family, my sister is very similar. Sure. My brother Mike, he's double income, no kids. He's doing what he wants to do, and like, he's going to be there this weekend. I won't be there, but he'll be there this weekend. So he's there when he wants to, and my brother Joey's sort of a similar boat where he like, and so it's hard because you can't force them to do it, and then you take it one more generation, that then the kids, you can't force it to do it. But as I sat on the beach yesterday, I was watching the three girls, and I said, Erin, we like did it. Like, they all love the beach the way we love the beach. And she said, well, I didn't give them much choice. I've been dragging them here since they were like, as soon as I could get out of labor, we were back at the beach, and that's true, but that doesn't make people make them like love something.
Sure.
They do love the beach, just like, similar.
They could just as easily resent it from having.
They could just as easily resent it because I've brought them there all the time, and they take them away from their friends, but they don't. So I think it's a little bit of both. You know what I mean? The kids have to want to do it, but you also, somebody's got to be the leader in terms of the planner. Which is funny. We started with that we don't plan. You know what I mean? But at this point, I have to accept that, like, if I want everybody to be somewhere, I have to say, hey, we all have to be here and establish it, even though for me it was unnecessary because I'm definitely going to be there. Like, is there a free day? I had one day this weekend, and I was on the beach for whatever it was, 5-6 hours, but I drove there and back. Yeah. And in 30 hours, I was home from when I left the tournament. So, right. But I still went because it, I said it to Clemens this morning too, Bri. I said, it is the oddest thing that I'm going to say is that I feel the most fortunate, but I feel the most fortunate when I get up at 4 a.m. and I walk outside to a sea breeze to drive to work. Oh, yeah. We don't work anywhere near the ocean.
No. Yeah. So
you know what I mean? So that's for Berg Construction. I'm the only one today that was at work that woke up to a sea breeze. Yeah. But I feel fortunate about that, because I have the ability to be there and leave, and I don't have to be there just because it's the third week of July, and that's the week I go, right? In other words, like, I'm just there. So yeah. I feel really fortunate. And the other thing for it is we have a crazy amount of people right now who have just become or are becoming parents for the first time or yeah. again, and that's exciting to see in the company, is to see this many people who are building their family while they're a part of Berg Construction,
Yeah, for sure. That has been.
Oh, it is. But you were saying something earlier. I had to laugh because I don't know how many grandparents will just walk by and they're like, "Oh, cherish these moments." And everyone can tell you can have the head knowledge, but when you're in the middle of it, you just can't. You just smile at them because you just think, okay, that's cute, but it's just such a different. Yeah. Because when the Tori or other people that are having the kids and I'm me, I'm just not gonna say anything because whatever advice you might have, when they're in the thick of it, all of our advice gets tuned out. There is nothing that they're going to, as you said, there's no owner's manual, which is interesting because of, we talk about it in the business, how there's so much tribal knowledge, but it really feels like parenting is that one thing, you watched how your parents did it, but by the time you were able to watch and understand what they were doing, you were already past a certain point in your life. You were already probably 6, 7, or whatever age you were till you grasped what your parents were doing. So those first couple of years, there doesn't seem to be. Yeah. They're just it's that doesn't really pass down. They don't really, or if they do pass it down, and maybe it comes in a way that isn't acceptable, right? From
you just had to absorb it. Whatever you absorbed is what's impacting you. So,
you know where I think it, and I can be completely wrong, and I'm standing in the middle of their world, right? Today, physically. But I feel like when you have a farm community like Lancaster County, and you have when you see especially the Amish with the families on the farm, that's how the tribal knowledge gets passed down. Part of the thing is in our modern society, everybody's, by the time they're 17, 18 years old, they go off to college or go to work and they get their own place, and they the window to learn, and they're working, and we tie them up with so much sports. We're to what you said, we're just trying to get them to a finish line, start line over and over again. And then we get them to the actual start line, okay, you're not at all prepared for the actual race you were in. You know how to, you can play lacrosse or soccer or baseball, volleyball, basketball. You can do all these things. You can do trig. You can spell. You can write papers. You can do all these things. You have no idea how to parent or manage your bank book. You can't balance your account, and you don't know how to raise a kid. But good luck. The next 40 years, spend trying to figure out how to raise a family and balance your checking account. You know what I mean? That's the reality of what modern society does to people. And when I look at communities like Lancaster County, and you see places that farming is still a big piece, I think you can still see that that's how the knowledge used to get passed down, because the families stayed together and they grew up together and they saw their siblings, and their older siblings had kids. And you had a test ground. Yeah. And we sort of lost that now.
I think it's not specifically farming. I think that helps, but I think anywhere that you have community is a big deal. Like doing things and being involved in things. So whether that's farming or church or local community, I think that makes a difference for sure. Because collectively, when you see a group of people behaving in a certain way or carrying on their lives in a certain way. I think that's impactful for sure. It sort of gives you an impression of what it could look like or should look like potentially. But yeah, I definitely hear what you're saying. Yeah.
So by the time we do this podcast again next year, there's going to be another, how many? 5, 6 people
that are
at Berg that are now
new dads.
New dads.
Yeah, dads again. Yeah, which is wild to think about.
That's wild to think about.
For sure. Yeah. Well, folks,
you both look back on that and smile. And it doesn't translate through the podcast, but there's that smile there, like, hey, yeah, I remember that not sleeping thing. That was cool for a minute.
It's
definitely a young person's game.
I would take the not sleeping over walking into teenagers now. And Brian's on the back end of the team. He's almost off the 18th tee green. He's back. He's going to be back at the clubhouse, having some drinks, watching you and I struggle through the 18th now.
Well, it's just different problems or different concerns, right? It doesn't go away. It just changes.
Yeah.
So, I got one who's getting ready to go into a life of service, which is exciting, but brings its own set of concerns. Before I was concerned about what time he was getting home. Now I'm concerned about where's he shipped in off to next. Where's he going to be
deployed to?
Yeah, so it just changes. I think your concerns just morph into whatever their lives become. So I don't think that ever goes away. So, that's all right though. That's Father's Day. That's part of being dads. I think. Maybe.
I think it's just you be there to hold their hand.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, hold their hand, or maybe eventually, maybe every once in a while, be a bumper on the side of the road so they don't go off the path.
Maybe a tow truck.
Yeah,
pull them back onto the path from time to time. Turn the flashlight on, let them see a little bit ahead, and hope they pay attention to what you showed them.
Yeah, exactly. So. All right, folks, that's probably a good place to wrap it up. We hope you enjoy your time on Father's Day, celebrating dads, yours or others, and we hope you come back for another episode.